Welcome back, everyone, to Gotcha Interact. Today, we're going to be talking about the new 5 new weapons that we're going to be getting for craftable weapons in Natlan. And considering the actual game's right around the corner from 5.0, I know me and Rift are both extremely excited about what's to come. And honestly, these weapons have not only a lot of help for maybe future characters, but honestly, a lot of already in the game characters are going to be doing extremely well. So, if you guys like the video, please go ahead and like and subscribe. Let's go ahead and jump in. So, the first weapon we want to go ahead and look at is looking at the Flute of Ezpitzal. I hope I said that correctly. But
Me too.
at level 90, this weapon has 69% defense, which, nice number. Anyways, the refinement ability on the weapon, this is the craftable sword for Natlan for the 4-star characters that you can craft. And at R1, it states that using an elemental skill increases defense by 16% for 15 seconds. With a new region around the corner and waifus popping up seemingly in every single version, no one can really blame you for going to the shop. But each of those prices looks a little bit too high for my liking. That's where today's sponsor Loot Bar comes in. Loot Bar is a service that allows you to top up on Genesis crystals for a cheaper price than you see in-game. Loot Bar is easy to use, free to use, and most importantly, safe to use because all you need is your UID. No emails or passwords are needed. And with almost 3,000 reviews, Loot Bar boasts plenty of positive reviews and also offers 24/7 live support that I've personally used myself and am pleasantly pleased with. Not only do they help you save for Genshin, but Star Rail as well. After completing a purchase, Loot Bar promises a maximum 30-minute wait time for delivery, but we've even gotten our crystals even sooner. They've also proven themselves trustworthy through other content creators like Jello Impact, Dukaja, Superatom, Mujin, and Teva Times. Use the link down in the description to download Loot Bar and start saving today. Thanks again to Loot Bar for sponsoring this video, and now back to the video. Now, personally for me, the immediate 2 characters that come to mind aren't even future characters, but actually, I'm thinking, actually, I shouldn't think of that. I have 1 future character and 2 past characters. The first future character is Zylonen. Now, I think she's going to be a sword character, so this personally is going to be extremely good for me, especially with, I'm going to be trying to run her in a Navia team. But I honestly think this weapon could be extremely good for her if she's kind of like other Geo characters and bases herself off of defense. So Rift, I don't know about you, but I'm thinking of Chiori and Albedo as already past characters as well that can use this weapon. What do you think?
No, I totally think the same thing. I guess my first thought, because I don't really look as far ahead into the, like the speculation stuff like you do, but I guess I didn't know, do we know if Zylonen is going to be a sword user for sure, or is that kind of still up in the air?
I believe right now she might be. I'm pretty sure
Because,
most people
yeah,
believe she's going to
it
be.
would be so good. I mean, that's a ridiculously high amount of defense, especially just being a 4-star. I mean, I know Cinnabar Spindle exists from way back when, but let's face it, guys, there's a lot of us new players even. I don't even have the weapon, okay? Like, this will be a good substitute for those albedo people who like to use albedo. You mentioned Chiori. I totally think so as well, because you're getting it in the main stat, but then you're also getting even more in the ability, and then you can refine that, and it's very free to play friendly because it is a craftable, and that's what's so great about craftable weapons. So yeah, I totally agree with you. Definitely Albedo and Chiori are kind of the top of the mind here, because I don't really think there's anyone else, any other sword users that are going to want that, right?
Yeah, no, I'm not really thinking of any others. And actually bringing up Cinnabar Spindle, it's actually interesting you brought that up. It has 69% defense as well at level 90. But as we have an elemental increase of defense for 15 seconds at 16% for this specific sword weapon for the new one, for Flute, Cinnabar Spindle actually, the ability states that elemental skill damage is increased by 40% of defense. Now, at R1, that's extremely good. Here's the catch. The effect will be triggered no more than once every 1.5 seconds and will be cleared zero point 0.1 seconds after the elemental skill deals damage. So that huge 40% of your defense on top as damage on top of elemental skill damage is
Mm-hmm.
only triggering every 1.5 seconds and is only for one instance of your skill hits. So if your characters are hitting more often than 1.5 seconds, that could be a little bit of a concern for your characters. Now, I don't know if any of the other characters are going to do that, but
Right.
that's more or less just something I guess to think about.
It's just nice for the people who don't actually have it, and it's not like you can go back and get it. It's if you don't have it, you don't have it. Sorry, guys. So this is a great kind of redemption kind of weapon, good substitute. That's kind of seems very on par with Cinnabar Spindle.
Yeah, I totally agree. Also at R5 it's even better, so it's also easier
Hmm.
probably as well to do everything that you
Right.
want it to do. But now jumping over into Earthshaker, the Claymore with attack percent. Now we saw actually a certain character actually used this in the live stream. Now, I don't know if you guys noticed, but the weapon that was put on this is the Pyro Archon Mavuika. So, Rift, what can you go ahead and tell us about the weapon?
Well, when we look at it at level 90, it's giving us 27.6% attack, which is fairly decent. But then we also see in the ability, it says that after a party member triggers a pyro-related reaction, the equipping character's elemental skill damage is increased by 16% at Refinement 1 for 8 seconds. And this effect can be triggered even when the triggering party member is not on the field. So, I think it's interesting that they did place it on Mavuika. She's a pyro character, and they obviously in this weapon they are encouraging those pyro reactions. They want you to put this on a pyro character or just a character who's going to be coming into contact with pyro. So you can definitely see that. It seems like a good just damaged weapon to use as a substitute if you don't have maybe some other stuff. It's not a crit weapon, that could be an argument, but having a nice high attack is going to be nice, especially, pyro characters having a high base attack could be pretty good.
Yeah, I totally agree. Someone who popped into my mind actually, if you don't have another great weapon to really use for this character, someone else who could work really well is going to be someone like Dia. And Dia actually does help a little bit into attack percent. I believe she dual scales into HP and attack percent.
Right,
So this
right.
could help personal damage. And a lot of what we're seeing recently is actually putting her on burning comps or even Burgeon teams. So increasing her elemental skill damage could be somewhat helpful. It's just more personal damage for herself, which once again isn't necessarily for Dia isn't the best thing ever. Really, you kind of just want her burst or whatever on rotation and make sure she either has high EM or whatever like that. The idea of whatever you're trying to build usually isn't crazy numbers in personal damage, but it's not
hmm
necessarily a bad idea to have this either.
Yeah, I agree with that. It's an easy one to get, especially like if you are a new player and your free 5-star you want to grab is Dia, then this is a super easy grab to just throw on her.
That's actually a
So,
good point. I totally didn't even think about the free 5-star character we're going to get in the anniversary. So, yeah, I mean, already starting off Natlan, Pyro character, already a great craftable weapon for her. Everything's kind of set for those people who don't have her. So, now looking into the next weapon, looking at Footprint of the Rainbow, and this is the 4-star Polearm actually, and it's also defense percent at level 90. And this ability at Refinement 1 is going to increase skill based on 16% of defense and for 15 seconds. The same thing that you saw on the flute or the sword version of this weapon. So it's the same thing. But looking at the polearm version, for me, two characters come into mind. One recent, or maybe not recent, one old, and then one new. The old one is going to be Yunjin, and the new one is going to be Kachina. Kachina already does a lot of damage. We already saw that she uses her skill a lot of the times, has the turbo twirly just jumping up and down and, slamming into the ground. And
right.
so this could help for personal damage for her, which is going to be nice. And then Yunjin as well. She helps a little bit of things. I think she does personal damage as well as she gives a buff or something like that based off her defense. I'd have to go look into her
hmm
kit again, but this could also be a
Yeah,
good weapon for her as well.
it's the more defense you have, the more normal attack damage I believe she's giving with the ult. So I think you're right there, yeah.
All right, yeah. So, I mean, that just goes to show you another great weapon that could be used on a lot of different
hmm
characters. So, Rift, what do we think
And
about this one? I think this one's a very good polearm to craft as well.
hmm Oh, I do too, because actually I was thinking of it. I don't think there's another defense percent polearm. I mean, you can correct me on that if I'm wrong, but if that's the case, guys, this could be an upgrade to Yunjin's buffing capability for your normal attack type characters if you like to use her with Yoimiya, Ayato, anyone who's really speccing into normal attacks, because there's just no other defense percent polearm. And yes, the question would be is, well, are you going to have an issue with energy? And you could, especially if you're not running an ER stance, because I think the point would be to run triple defense and this weapon to just have as much defense as possible to get the most buffing that you can for your DPS character. And I think that sounds interesting. I might try it out. Who knows? Because Yunjin's actually coming around close to the character I build next. But I'd probably want to try that out and still maybe look for enough ER in my substats to get as close as I can to 200% or higher just on substats. It's definitely interesting to think about.
Yeah, no, I just tried to double check. Once again, you guys can correct me if I'm wrong. I think I'm looking at all the polearms here, and there is yet to be a defense percent polearm actually. So yeah, the point you bring up is extremely good for these types of characters. Usually with Kachina, I was gonna think I'm gonna have to run Fav, and the same thing with Yunjin. I
Right.
was just gonna have to run Fav again. And in my
Hmm.
personal videos, actually, I'm going to be coming up on Yunjin in a little while after I hit Inazuma characters. So actually having this weapon in the repertoire for her is going to be nice to have, to actually be looking forward to actually building with the character. So I definitely think this is going to be a good one for people to run. I don't really see Yunjin having too much usability anymore outside of like someone like Yoimiya. But I think once again, just a nice polearm, especially with a free Kachina coming out. So
Yeah,
free
yeah, for
Kachina
sure.
and an easy craftable polearm for her.
Hmm.
So I definitely
I
think
mean,
it's a
that's
high
hey, that's
end.
what I'm gonna be doing. I'm gonna get that free Kachina. This is the weapon I'm gonna be using on her because
Same
I
for
mean,
me.
it's gonna help her damage. Both her skill and her ultimate are using defense percent, which is really nice. I'm so glad that she's not like using defense and then attack, or it's like split scaling. She seems like a great 4-star, honestly. So can't wait to
Yeah.
see it.
Yeah, perfect. Exactly. Well, now going into the ring of whatever that name is, and it's going to be
Yeah.
an HP percent weapon. Now, I think this weapon here is mainly going to be a backup, I think, for the other weapon that you would use on someone like Mualani. The main stat of the weapon is HP percent, and the ability is kind of interesting. So, Rift, what could you tell us
Hmm.
about this specific catalyst?
Yeah, so I'm looking at the ability here. It says that using an elemental skill grants the Jade Forged Crown effect. And this, what is that effect? It states this: every 1000 max HP will increase the normal attack damage dealt by the equipping character by 0.6% at Refinement 1 for 10 seconds. Also, normal attack damage can be increased this way by a maximum of 16%. So it does, like you're saying, it's really kind of specking into looking like something you could use on Mualani. I mean, increasing the normal attack damage. It's an HP weapon. I mean, honestly, what other catalyst user that is scaling into HP does normal attack damage? Because I don't, off the top of my head, I don't know if I can even think of one.
I think you'd have to force it, but I'm only thinking of
I
Kokomi.
yeah, Kokomi, I did think of after I was done talking, but even then, like, I feel like
Yeah.
there's just some other better options, maybe. Well, and the main thing is with Mualani, and we'll talk about this in another video pretty soon. We're getting a new event weapon, and you kind of touched on that earlier. I feel like that might just be better, anyways. So,
Yeah, that other weapon, once again, we'll talk about in a later video, looks a little bit more universal for a little bit more characters than Mualani, but it does fit that vibe very much. So you could also use that weapon as well, and
mhm,
it does, I believe, same have the same amount of HP percent. But still, I think this weapon has a lot of value, especially for those Mualani wanters.
mhm.
So if you guys do have this, hopefully you guys can craft this as well. So make sure to keep up a lot of those extra things where you can craft weapons. Don't blow those all away in Fontaine and Sumeru. Hopefully you've got a few saved up, and if not, go ahead and go do some weeklies before we go ahead
I've
and
got
jump
one.
into new Natlan. So, well, the last weapon we have is Chainbreaker, which is an attack percent bow. This is going to be the craftable bow for Natlan, and it is attack percent. So the ability states at Refinement 1 for every party member from Natlan who has a different. Actually, no, that's just completely wrong. Sorry. For every party member from Natlan or who has a different elemental type from the character who has this bow on them, the equipping character gains 4.8% increased attack. And when there are no less than 3 of the aforementioned characters, the equipping character gains 24 elemental mastery. Now, my personal idea when I'm looking at this is going to be someone like Tainari, because attack percent, that's nice. Elemental mastery, that's nice. 3 different elements is going to be a little bit difficult. You can, because once again, this has to have 3 different characters to have to get that elemental mastery boost. But honestly, this weapon's okay. I wouldn't say it's terrible. It's just a little bit different than some of the other weapons that we have here.
Yeah, I guess my initial thought on it is it's pretty generic. Like, there's a lot of other attack percent bows that don't even get used. They're not best in slot for really any character. And I could be wrong. That's just like off the top of my head. I can't really think of anything. And yeah, I think, you can use this for Tainari. You want a quick free to play. Hey, if Tainari's your free 5-star standard that you want to go after, you can use this on him. It'll work because it's not like he only wants elemental mastery. Like, the attack does help, but you do want to make sure you have at least a couple hundred elemental mastery, and this weapon does help with that. So it is an option. I do think there are better options for Tainari, even among 4-stars, like we had an event one a couple months ago, maybe. I forgot the name of it. I think it was Cloudforge, but that gives elemental mastery as well. Tainari really has a lot of options. There's also Ibis Piercer. That was the bow I was thinking of. But yeah, you can use this on Tighnari and any other character, bow character that likes the attack percent. Fischl is a character that really likes attack. Kale could use it, although she's a little bit more like Tighnari where she wants higher elemental mastery, but she still can use the attack and it works really well for her. So it's kind of flexible and it's just another option, really easily accessible for the new and free-to-play players especially. So
Definitely going to be fun for soup teams, especially once again if you're using Fischl, Xiangling,
right.
and I don't know, Xing Cho and some other random character to just have as the DPS.
Oh
This could
yeah,
be
for
actually a
sure.
good weapon to get some elemental mastery throw in there. But
Hmm.
yeah, no, totally. You can just get a bunch of the attack percent increase plus in the ability, and if you can get higher refinements, it's going to be even better. So
I think between all of the five, I think if there's one best one or the one I'm going to go after first, and this is totally subjective to me, so don't let this like change your opinion, but I really like I really like the Polearm because of the free Kachina, and it really seems like one of her better weapons. It's the only defense Polearm. I feel like it's going to be a really great option for Kachina, and also I think when looking at Kachina, she doesn't like need a hefty amount of energy recharge, so it's not like she needs Fav. I think I'm gonna try to get away with using this weapon on Kachina and also a defense Sans. And so maybe if I need any ER, it's gonna come from other teammates using Fav or just some ER substats. That's probably what I'm gonna do. And looking at all of the five, I think that's my favorite personally.
I think I would totally have to agree with you. I think some of the other ones, like we were talking about, have some usability. I think
Hmm.
a very close second is going to be the defense percent sword, especially if you
Hmm.
have,
Yes.
if you're an earlier player and you have Albedo or Chiori, these could be extremely good weapons for you. But I really do think, like you said, it's a perfect alignment of so many different things. And yes, Earthshaker can be a new alignment as well with getting a free Dia from the anniversary, getting this weapon, and
Right.
then
Right.
obviously just building that together. But I
Yeah. It really
think the
just
perfect
depends.
alignment is just a free Kachina and this weapon as
Hmm.
well. And honestly, if you have enough stockpiled different types of things, you can craft them all. There is no limit to
Right.
what you
Right.
can go after first or second or whatever. It's not like a choice. But,
Hmm.
if you are looking for one thing to go for, I think the best thing to look for when you're actually looking to try to get one of those pieces to be able to craft a weapon is going to be looking at things for this specifically for this polearm. Hopefully, one of the two previous things actually work to create these weapons as well. Hopefully, Natlan doesn't have anything new, and we can just craft these as soon as we get to Natlan. So, well, that's everything we've got talking about everything else with these 5 different weapons. If you guys have any other thoughts on the different weapons that you would rather choose than some of the others, go ahead and let us know down in the comments. If you guys did like the video, please go ahead and like and subscribe. And thank you guys for watching the video. We'll see you guys in the next one.